Today we're speaking to Kaivalya from Zepto, so let's just take it on from there. Hi, I think we'll end up repeating some questions,
Yeah, no
but
worries.
do tell us what next for you guys.
Sure. I think there are, when it comes to growth and expansion, I think we really look at it two different ways. Right?
Yeah.
I think there's one type of growth which is historically how we've grown, which has just been launching in new markets, right? Launching in new, geographies, in new cities, in new neighborhoods. And so today, today we're in the top 10 cities, right? We're in the top 10 metros, and a significant chunk of our expansion will be expanding into new cities beyond that, right? And then there's a second, so that's one type, right? Then there's a second type of expansion, which is launching new categories, right? So you have grocery, which is what we started with, which was the core, of the business, which is fruits, vegetables, all of that stuff. More recently, we've been, working on newer categories, right? And so one good example of that is Zepto Cafe, which was launched in Bombay about 2 months back now. We're currently scaling it up across the rest of our cities. Zepto Cafe is basically the delivery of coffee, tea, sandwiches, samosa, snacks, basically the whole cafe format,
Yeah.
and getting that delivered, hot in 10 minutes. And so that is the other type of growth, right? Which is, okay, grocery is one great category, but what are the other categories on top of that that you can get into, right? So I think that's the way we look at
Okay,
growth.
so speaking about Zepto Cafe, you will pretty much be taking on the likes of Zomato, which is massive.
Okay, I think so. The way we look at this is actually a little bit differently. I think
Okay.
we're not really trying to play within the food category per se. And I mean, this is not a real substitute for like a lunch or dinner. No pizzas or momos or whatever
Yeah.
you biryani that you would get on a Zomato or Swiggy. This is a very curated assortment. Only about 10, 15, 20 items that are something that you might get at a Starbucks or any cafe similar to that. Right, and so it's more like your evening chai type use case,
Got it.
and
And,
so
and the whole thing could be the focus on 10 minutes.
yeah, still within 10
Okay.
minutes. And the idea is that, with these categories, as we launch them, is that, all these categories come within the same order, right? So in that same order,
Okay.
while you're getting your, doodh and bread and aloo, pyaz, tomato, for your regular groceries, you can
Got it.
get a cup of coffee along with it. So that's
So,
the way we're thinking about it.
like the way you work with dark stores for your grocery deliveries, are you going to work with like cloud kitchens? Or
Yeah, so the way we've done this is that we have a section within our dark store which is dedicated for cafe. So it's within the same dark store, and we're working with brands. So we work with the Chayos or the Blue Tokai Coffee
Yeah.
and all these existing brands, and work with them within our own dark stores. Within that are servicing the rest of the grocery orders. So it's the same dark store basically.
Okay, got it. And what are your plans about expanding to say tier 2, tier 3 cities?
Yeah, I think like I said, India has there's a significant opportunity in India. Right today, I think we've barely scratched the surface. In the top
Yeah.
10 cities, and so I think that opportunity exists. And over the coming months, I think you can definitely sort of see us in a lot of those next set of cities. A lot of which will be tier 2. And so yeah, I think we're pretty bullish on India and going deeper within the country.
So what sort of problems do you foresee when you're not in a metro city and you're
Sure.
planning to expand to like a smaller location?
Good question. I think because given that we haven't experimented yet, this is like
Yeah.
still speculation. I think that this is it's a complex market. It's a different market, and so it'll require a lot of experimentation before we go full fledged and launch. I think off the top of my head, density is different. The perception of the price might be different. The way the buying pattern in terms of
Yeah.
might be a little bit more planned than it is in a metro city, etc. So I think there's a couple of differences that we'll have to think through and pilot and see whether the model needs to be tweaked or not, before we launch there. But regardless, I think this quick commerce in general, I think is something that we're pretty excited to take to all these tier 2 cities.
Okay. And in general, if you were to, if it's not groceries, if
Yeah.
you weren't doing this,
Okay.
what would you have been doing?
Like I wasn't doing Zepto.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of cool stuff happening, in India. I think there's a lot of cool stuff happening in fintech, etc., etc. I think personally for me, I would probably be looking at something within the health tech domain. I think there's a lot of cool work that is starting now, but I think
Okay.
that's where there's still a long way to go. And so I think within health tech, I think that's where that's something that's
where
pretty
you
interesting.
would be.
Yeah.
So just since you mentioned health and you're
Yeah,
interested in it, would you not want to include like delivery medicines?
Sure,
as a
I
part of
think
Zepto?
I think at some point for sure. Like I said, right,
Okay.
the rest of the growth will be categories. So I think at some point, pharmacy will be a great category to have. I think it'll fit the use case pretty well. So yeah.
Okay, cool. I think that's great. Thanks for
Awesome.
speaking to us.
Thanks a lot.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.